The Battle of Stalingrad was one of the most important and largest decisive battles of World War II and the Great Patriotic War between the Red Army and the Wehrmacht, supported by the armies of the Axis countries, which ended in victory for the Red Army. The battle took place from July 17, 1942, to February 2, 1943, in the territories of the modern Voronezh, Rostov, Volgograd regions, and the Republic of Kalmykia. The offensive of Nazi Germany and its allies during Operation Blau lasted from July 17 to November 18, 1942. Its goal was the capture of the large bend of the Don River, the Volga-Don Isthmus, and Stalingrad, modern-day Volgograd. The implementation of this plan would have blocked transportation links between the central regions of the Soviet Union and the Caucasus, see Battle for the Caucasus, 1942–1943, and would have created a foothold for further offensives aimed at seizing the oil fields in the Caucasus. From July to November 1942, the Red Army managed to engage parts of the 6th Army of the Wehrmacht in battles in the ruins of Stalingrad, and then surround them as a result of Operation Uranus. The Wehrmacht's breakthrough offensive was halted, and the remnants of the 6th Army were trapped in Stalingrad and its surroundings, Operation Ring. On February 2, 1943, the surrounded group surrendered, with the commander of the 6th Army, Field Marshal Friedrich Paulus, and another 24 generals taken prisoner. This victory of the Red Army, after a series of defeats in 1941–1942, marked the beginning of the Soviet High Command's strategic initiative in the Great Patriotic War. The Battle of Stalingrad was one of the fiercest and bloodiest in the history of mankind in terms of the number of total irretrievable losses, killed, died of wounds in hospitals, missing in action, of the belligerents. The Red Army, 478,741 people, 323,856 people in the defensive phase of the battle and 154,885 people in the offensive, the Wehrmacht, about 300,000 people. The German allies, Italians, Romanians, Hungarians, Croats, about 200,000 people. Civilian casualties are estimated at between 40,000 and 70,000. The military significance of the victory was the removal of the threat of capture of the territories of the Lower Volga and the Caucasus by the Wehrmacht and its allies, as well as the Baku oil fields. As a result of the USSR's victory in the battle, Turkey abandoned its plan to invade the USSR in the spring of 1943, Japan did not embark on the planned Siberian campaign, and Romania, Mihai I, Italy, Pietro Badoglio, and Hungary, Miklos Calais, began to seek opportunities to exit the war and negotiate a separate peace with Great Britain and the USA. On June 22, 1941, Germany and its allies attacked the Soviet Union. Suffering a series of heavy defeats during the battles of the summer and autumn of 1941, the Soviet forces launched a counteroffensive during the Battle of Moscow in December 1941. The German troops, exhausted by the fierce resistance of the defenders of Moscow, unprepared for conducting a winter campaign, with an extensive and not fully controlled rear, were stopped at the approaches to the city and during the counteroffensive of the Red Army were pushed back 150 to 300 kilometers to the west. In 1942, the German command decided to deliver the main blow in the south, Operation Blue. The success of the offensive would ensure control over the oil fields of the Caucasus, the regions of Grozny and Baku, as well as over the Volga, the main waterway connecting the European part of the country, including Transcaucasia, with Central Asia. A victory for Germany in the south could seriously undermine Soviet industry. The Soviet leadership, encouraged by the successes near Moscow, attempted to seize the strategic initiative and in May 1942 directed large forces to advance in the Kharkov area. The offensive ended in disaster, resulting in the enemy having the opportunity to launch an offensive towards Voronezh, to the Volga and further to Astrakhan, to Rostov-on-Don, and onward to the Caucasus. After the Battle of Voronezh, July 8, Hitler ordered the division of Army Group South into two parts. Army Group A was to continue its offensive towards the North Caucasus. Army Group E, which included the 6th Army of Friedrich Paulus and the 4th Tank Army of Hermann Hoth, was to move eastward towards the Volga and then on to Astrakhan. The capture of Stalingrad was not included in Plan Blue, however. Encouraged by the success of the offensive, Hitler made changes to the plan, directing the 6th Army to Stalingrad. Capturing Stalingrad would allow Germany to cut off vital water and land communications and to cover the left flank of the advancing forces in the Caucasus. Furthermore, the capture of a city bearing Stalin's name had significant political implications.